WIFTVPM.
Whatever happened to you falling in that grocery store?
Your guess is as good as mine. My auntie said she knew someone. I gave her all the information, but that was 3 weeks ago and I still haven't heard anything.
You still got time to talk to the lawyers at the CLN.
The CLN? What's that?
It's the Chicago Legal Network, a group of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of law, especially the laws most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. Plus, all the lawyers at the CLN all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community.
Sounds like I definitely need to contact them.
Say less. I can text you everything you need to know. So if you're ever injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information, or call 773-912-3545. That's 773-912-3545. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation.
Protected by Women is going both ways. Trigger with instructor Mike on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Oh, it's going both ways. When do you all stand up and say we are not about to sit here and let you tarnish the reputation of our brother, right? Whether he did good or not, let's be honest. Maybe we didn't reach out to Superintendent Johnson. Maybe we didn't attend the CAPS meetings. Maybe there were some things we could have done in the policing to be better. We don't want to make that admission, but we are not about to let you tarnish the reputation of a man simply because you did what some of us do. We fuck and then we go. You came or you didn't. Apparently, Johnson's Johnson was good because you wanted the Oscar Mayer wiener. You were trying to get bars sucking on stars. I'm just saying, lady, you did what you wanted to do and you did it well. For 3 fucking years, who gets raped for that long? And you carry a gun every day. You see women who catch their spouses cheating and kill them right then and there. You had the power and the legal ability under 720 ILCS 5 section 7-1 in defense of yourself. You are authorized to use deadly force to stop a forcible felony, but it's hard to stop a forcible felony when you're sucking on it under a melody. I'm just saying, stop with the bullshit. Yeah, I'm not going. Only on What's in It for the Black People Media Network.
Joining Chicago famous
Tony Scope, was there still that pushback against comedians becoming radio personalities, or was it accepted around that time?
In Chicago, we was used to having some funny on the radio in the morning, so.
I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you.
Man, I remember one time I was at a Bulls game, and I'm at the little concession stand. This dude in front of me, this little OG dude turned around like, yeah, you that cat, you that dude. that replaced Dale. We don't like that shit. I'm just saying.
Word?
Why are you here? I'm like, I'm just trying to buy a hot dog, sir. I'm just trying to buy a hot dog. And then what make it so bad, when Sam left and I got the job, I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, I'm getting ready to do afternoons. She's like, oh, yeah, baby, yeah. I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, I'm replacing Sam. So she's like, hold on. Wait, you replacing Sam Silk? Where's Sam going? I'm like, my mama was upset.
Right, your mama.
right.
I'm like, Mama, did you just hear that let me replace Sam Silk? And she was like, okay, where's Sam going? But yeah, I think that was the point where I really realized that, I had a chance of actually making a career.
Chicago famous, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
That's why we shine wherever we go. 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 Lord, Lord. Welcome to the mind of a pothead. On my head, see a young nigga got dressed. We don't give a fuck what the cop said. I'm living a legacy. So even when I die, I am not dead. Nigga, I am not dead. Fuck with me.
What's happening, good people? Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this Monday edition of I Said What I Said. We are live from the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios. Herb Howard, Tucson, Warner here with you every Monday. No, that's good, Esco. I appreciate you. Herb Howard, Tucson, Warner here with you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Thank y'all so much for choosing to be a part of the conversation. We get right here with you guys and discuss issues that are impacting the black community, how those things are impacting us as individuals, and how they impact us as a collective. And along with your help, we talk through many of these issues in hopes of finding the best solutions for overcoming those obstacles. Again, overcome them as individuals, but more importantly, overcome them as a collective. Thank y'all so much for choosing to be a part of it. As always, your input is valued. It is certainly appreciated. Anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to do so. We will read through as many of the comments as possible as we go through. Also, we would kindly request that you would take one quick second to share this broadcast by clicking on the little arrow in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Share it on your personal page. Share it even within your personal network. Anyone that you think would add value to or find value in this particular conversation, we welcome them to be a part of the discussion. It is our sincere belief that the more like-minded individuals we can get to be a part of this conversation, the better the opportunities that we have of finding the optimum solutions going forward. So please take a quick moment to share the conversation. Also, if you feel so inclined, which some of you already have, you can contribute to the show by clicking on the little gold star in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. David Shields, we appreciate you. Q, appreciate you for the stars, my brother. And Carlotta, thank you so very, very much for the stars. But most importantly, man, thank all of y'all for being here. We truly appreciate it. Again, this is I Said What I Said. It is intellectual thuggery at its absolute finest. My name is Herb Howard. His name is Tucson Warner 2. What's happening, good brother?
I'm blessed and highly favored, fam. How you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. This weather.
Wait, before we get to this weather, I want to just interject and say one thing. Fuck Van Jones, and then we can move on with everything, whatever else we got to say.
Moving right along.
Yeah, fuck. We just wanted to get that out my system.
First things first.
Things first.
All that crying and shit.
Oh my God, he the moistest motherfucker on the planet. He had to go change his tampon after that. Oh my God, he's the worst. Motherfucker cry every election cycle.
Dude, that shit was terrible.
I need a job. That's really what he be wanting to say.
Is.
That's what he really be wanting to say.
That shit is terrible, dog.
It irritated the shit out of me.
It's terrible. Be very, very clear. That is going to be the conversation for today. I want to know, what is all of the celebration about? What is all of the riding around the city, honking horns and waving flags and partying in the streets? Like, it looked like it was either the Bulls had won a championship in the 90s or like it was Pride or something like it. And that's fine. Listen, your candidate won, cool, right? I didn't vote for either one of them. I don't give a shit, right? To me, only thing that happened was the manager of the plantation changed. I didn't see anything that took place that significantly altered the circumstances for black people in this country. And I'm very, very perplexed by the response. And I want to know, what the hell is the celebration about? Like, I don't get it, right? I don't get it. And so I definitely want to talk about that. But I do want to talk about this unseasonably warm weather. Like, it's impressive. And I usually be like, man, global warming is fucked up. We are fucking the earth up. And I'm usually not about that. But
I'm all about it right now.
When it's 75 in November, fuck them polar bears. You know what I'm saying? Like they showed you the videos with the ice caps melting and the polar bears falling through, and I'll be sad because I really like all those nature things. But man,
fuck the polar bears,
you know what I'm saying?
Hey man, I put up like a good 100 miles on the bike this week.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it, G. I'm trying to get this fat suit off me, G.
You handle it right. You know you're gonna be crying in a minute, Esco.
Yeah, but in long as I rode the bike up here today.
Yeah.
As long as the sun out, I'm on it. You know what I mean?
I respect it and salute that, man. Two and I have challenged each other to. I was about to lie to y'all and say be healthier, but that's not what we're trying to do. Like, that's not at all what we're trying to do. We're trying to lose weight so we can look better.
It's all vanity, baby.
It's all vanity.
Yeah, me too.
You too, Esco?
Yeah.
Let's get with it, man. And so we got ourselves a 30-day challenge going on to try and look better. I want to lie to y'all and say like, oh, we're trying to be healthier. I just want my shirts to sit better. I want to look better naked. That's really all it's about. And so we got that going on, man. So y'all hold us accountable to that piece and let us know. I think for me it's the liquor thing. Like I don't eat terribly, but all the calories and sugar in the liquor, that's my problem. If I start drinking, I might be $150.
Yeah, it's quarantine in my head. You
Yeah.
I'm fairly active. I eat a lot, but
Yeah.
I'm active.
Yeah,
right?
you are.
So, and the older I get, I got to get more discipline around my diet. But because of quarantine and because of my hip, I'm not as active as I usually am, and I didn't put on a whole lot of weight since quarantine. I can't go.
Yeah, it's bad. It's just not a good look. I'm not a small person. It's not my natural build. I'm just out. That'll never be who I am. But I can certainly be a fit person. Like I've been that before, and now I'm not. And it started with this year and rupturing my Achilles and being in the bed eating for 4 months and not walking, and then quarantine, and it's just been spiraling.
It gets out of control quick, G.
Yeah, it
gets out of control real quick.
It is not cool. It is not cool. I got a bunch of clothes that I haven't seen that all year because they aren't for me anymore.
Yeah, it goes like that.
They
You
for some
start
dude I
wearing
used to be.
sweatsuits every day.
Yeah, they for some dude I used to be.
Fit other guys close.
Yeah, we go. If I can get back into them, I might double my wardrobe. Like you know what I'm saying, it's ridiculous, man. So we're gonna be on that. Y'all hold us accountable. See if we can't look a little better by the end of the year.
Vanity.
Right,
Vanity. Vanity.
Vanity one.
So that's what it is. But then you got the holidays. It's hard to like slim down in the holidays.
I don't know, man. For me, at least, let me say that. Once I decide, I've decided.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it's hard to decide, but once I decide, it's pretty much
Committed.
that. Yeah.
I respect it, man. I'm on it with you, and you know, we see what we can do. But anyway, man, again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. This is I Said What I Said. Tucson Warner, Herb Howard here with you till 3 o'clock. We're gonna take our first break. As soon as we come back, somebody tell me what we're celebrating.
Also, fuck Van Jones.
He said what he said. We'll be right back after this.
WIIFTPM.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday. Boys, step aside. The Radio Rookie is in the building. The Book of Dawn, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on What's In It for the Black People Media.
Fun guy. What's tomorrow? Fun guy, what's up, baby? What it do, baby? Yeah, you already know.
You know what I'm saying? So I'll be telling you.
What's going on, Chicago? What's In It for the Black People Media presents.
I want to go higher. Oh, my God.
Call your sons, call your daughters, call your friends, call your neighbors.
The Big Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. with Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin. We got what you need right here on What's In It for the Black People Media.
WIIFTPM.
We are. I ain't gonna lie, that scared me. I was like, what was that? We are back from the beautiful What's In It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. You know what I want to do? I want to bring back the paint background on the walls.
Yeah, I want to get rid of this black.
I like the drinks for election night, and I like it for some other things. I like the versatility of the space, but I'm missing the artwork on the walls. Anyway, this is I Said What I Said. Thank y'all so much for choosing to be a part of the conversation. If you have not had an opportunity to do so, please take a quick moment to share the conversation. Tucson, please tell me why our people are celebrating this victory of sorts for Joe Biden, other than he's not Donald Trump. What do we get out of this thing?
A new reason to post shit on social media. So I really been having a bunch of dialogues this last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically because I want answers, you know.
That's all I want.
And I mean that in the sense, like, when we start thinking about America, the paradigm itself, in my mind, the entire construct is built upon power. And when you start thinking about the construct of power, that power is usually generated or leveraged via ethnicity, right? So when the resources get passed out, they're passed out via ethnic group.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And until we fully identify our ethnic group, we're going to be lacking in those resources because we're voting against our interests or we're acting against our interests. Same reason why why you don't spend money with black people? It's the same conversation, right? We act against our interests by going into the Arab stores or by going into the Asian salons or the Asian beauty stores. We're operating against our interests. And the same thing kind of happened, in my opinion, in this election cycle. Now, I get it, the lesser two evils. So even if, I'm not angry that Biden won. Somebody's gonna have to win, right? But at the end of the day, I didn't understand our jubilee around him winning. Right. Even if you was responding or voting out of fear of the possibility of Trump,
right?
Still, what did you win?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I started getting a lot of calls, and people was hitting me with like, "Ha ha, Biden won," and I was confused, like. Okay.
Like, did you ever say you were pro-Trump?
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is. What I started to recognize is that because I said this before too, but Salim said it so eloquently. He said, the lack of nuance is the road to tyranny, right? And I think we have this kind of real black and white spectrum.
Sure.
And the gray gets missed, right?
It does.
So it's this gap.
But that's really where everything's happening.
But it's this tribalism. We all operate in this kind of tribalist mentality, and that's natural. That's the way of the world, way of the earth, right? But the problem is that we haven't identified our tribe. So what we do is we identify with white thought. We don't even consciously think we do, but we do, because we are American in our identity. But we don't know what that really means because we've never really fully flushed it out. Like the construct of ADOS becomes so prevalent to me in this last couple of days.
Bro, this morning on the Maze Jackson show, right? We were both in the room in the comments, and ADOS came up. And specifically in relationship to Kamala. And it was a brother in the comments that was like, yo, her father is ADOS. And I think Potato was like, no. Somebody was like, no, he's not. And then he was like, yes, he is. And I was like, no, he's not. And he was like, well, he's Jamaican such and such. And I was so blown away, I just didn't even respond. But then you came back like, yep, he is Jamaican, not ADOS. I'm like, what is wrong with, like, I don't understand how people miss this thing. It's a very, very simple thing here. American descendants of slaves. Like, I don't get it.
Because we don't get it.
Where's the confusion?
Right? So here's one of the things that I recognized over these last couple of days, too. So I'm going to be real, right? Barack wins. I'm in the streets. I'm excited. I'm happy, right? I'm exhibiting that same kind of jubilee.
Absolutely.
Right? Over his first term, nothing was really done. So I still gave him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Hey,
he's trying to secure a second term.
Trying to secure a second term. He gets to the second term, don't do shit again. Now, second term, he doesn't have the House and the Senate, but the first term, he did. Right? So now I'm angry. Right? He doesn't pick a Supreme Court justice because he's playing the game now. He's gonna leave that shit for Hillary under the auspices that Hillary's gonna win.
Right.
But now because he's playing the game, I'm like, man, fuck dude.
Right.
Because this ain't what I voted for you for. Right.
Not at all.
But what I'm saying in all of that is, I was excited when Barack won. But then again, new information came and I had to reconfigure how I thought about the situation. Right? The idea of American descendants of slavery is a fairly new idea. Right? But it is brilliant and it is genius because it breaks the data down in a way that creates an identity. Now, they're doing it for the auspices of going after reparations.
Sure.
Right? And I think that's valuable. But for me, it's more valuable because it succinctly describes what our legacy lineage is, which creates our identity. Right? It creates the tribe for us. Right? So tribalism is very natural. You go to any lunchroom at lunchtime, at any high school, any grammar school, any college. The jocks are going to sit with the jocks. At college levels, the fraternity cats are going to sit with the fraternity cats. The sorority cats are going to sit with, it just is our natural inclination.
Yeah.
But we've not yet fully developed who the fuck we are. And in large part because we haven't, we kind of move through the world as if we are just chocolate-covered white people. Because we've been educated, we've been conditioned, however you want to describe it. Every institution in America is defined by white supremacy, right? So if we went through these institutions, how could we not be chocolate-covered white people?
Right.
And the only way you get away from that shit is to you got to kind of erase all the conditioning. It's like wiping a goddamn computer clean, and you got to start again. You know what I mean? And that takes work. You got to educate yourself. You gotta engulf yourself in information. You got to engulf yourself in reading. You got to, even if you don't fucking read, YouTube exists.
It does.
Right?
It's a
Every
thing.
motherfucker that wrote a book, they somewhere on YouTube.
It's a thing.
Google the shit. And listen to it in your car. Turn on NPR. Turn on some shit other than WAP.
But you know what, too? Like, even when people are consuming information, it still only meets their ear or settles in their brain as they can understand it, right? And so, to your point earlier, like you said earlier, you get people calling you like, ha ha, to Joe Biden won. Now, presumably, they're saying that because they've been listening to you. But if they've been listening to you, they should know that you ain't said nothing about being no pro-Trump or giving a damn about that dude not winning the election, right? But that's how it meets their. It don't matter what you say. Like I'm saying one thing, for whatever reason, it's meeting your ear as something completely different, and I don't know how to get past that barrier. I can only send a message. I can't really make you receive it that way. You gotta decode that thing for yourself, and by the time you decode it through whatever lens you're decoding it through, it comes out on the other end as some completely other shit.
Man, check this shit out. So I've been getting attacked though online all week, right? For the
all week,
just the simplest shit, right? Shit that I didn't even really invest in. Like, damn, I got attacked for this, but I don't give a fuck. I think that shit is comical at most, right?
Yeah.
So I said some shit, and it wasn't even all that from what I usually say. This wasn't even aggressive, right?
This was tame too,
and it prompted a woman I know to go back and make a video. You know what I mean? Now, she didn't mention my name or tag me or nothing in the video, but it's basically like, all these fake woke niggas doing this, that, and the third. Where's black people at on the grounds? What are they doing now? In reference to me, that's the wrong analogy.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
If you are on my social media platforms, or if you're listening to me here, or any of that other shit, it grew out of what we were doing on the grounds. You know what I mean? And I've been on the ground since I was a teenager. So that's a false narrative in regards to me
100%.
Personally. You know what I mean? But
100%.
I could care less. Neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. But she had this. She had this whole long video about what's not happening. Right? Where's the agenda? And that's 100,000 fucking black agendas out there. So what I did, instead of being an asshole, which I'm really good at being an asshole, but I didn't be an asshole.
It's your default setting.
It's my default, but I did not be an asshole, right?
Okay.
So what I did instead was I went and found some a document that was based in the idea of what blacks need to do, right? Here's an agenda, right? So I copied it and pasted it right under the video. I said, hey, just because you don't know about it, just because you're unaware of it, doesn't mean this isn't happening, right? Her response to me was, well, the easiest way to hide stuff from black people is to put it in the book. How else do we get this out there? Therein lies the motherfucking problem, right? We are comfortable in our daddy's house, and we don't want to do the work to become adults.
Facts.
And if you in your daddy's house,
Facts.
you will always have to follow the rules of your daddy's house, right? So at some level, that's what I say, we looking for this level of comfortable oppression.
Sure.
And we're cheering for that shit at this point.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, even Salim was having this conversation earlier. And he was talking about the introduction of the artificial intelligence and how the AI generation is coming to fruition. And if we do the math, right, we've been a service class since our induction. You don't have no room to be a kid no more.
Nah.
It's not even an offering anymore, right? We don't need you to clean the bathrooms. We got Robbie the robot to do that now.
Right.
So if that's the case, it's not a ask anymore. You have to grow the fuck up or be eliminated.
Period.
And we're still cheering for our daddy to keep us on the board.
That thing is easier. It's easier, right? You were just saying that before we came on air. It's easier to make that choice and not really have to think about these things, not really have to, make no decisions or put no work into the outcome. Like, it's just easier. And so, Biden won, yay, right? I can go back to this place of comfort within this uncomfortable system. And I'm like, no, because first of all, you've given away all of your leverage, right? If you're negotiating with somebody, like we should have been negotiating with the Biden administration or with the Trump administration or with whomever's administration, but once you give them what they want, you have no leverage anymore. It's over with for you. So this idea of, now that he's in there, we're going to hold, how? That's his job. That's his career for 4 years, no matter what the fuck you talking about.
But even if we push back on that, right? Fuck what he does.
Sure.
How do you, I, Maze, the minister, anybody who's got one of these platforms speak to our people when we're so vested in that idea. Right? Because to hear the truth or hear what's need to happen, you'd have to reject that idea.
Yeah.
And we got people partying in the streets for that idea.
Yeah.
You can't get people into the mosque on the Sunday.
Facts.
You understand? I'm not saying join the nation, but I'm saying the messaging is about black upliftment. We all know the struggle in getting people to that conversation, but we're jumping in the streets for this specific incident.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like any other team, right? You can have all the talent in the world. You can have an all-star fucking team in any sport you can name, right? If that team hasn't identified their identity,
sure,
their shared mission and their shared goals, they're going to lose to who the fuck ever is better coached.
Period.
They don't have to have no fucking talent.
Every time.
Every time they're going to fucking lose. Unless they get extremely lucky. But if that's why when white teams come from the suburbs, they beat the shit out of all our talented high school boys here in the city, it's because they're better coached and they're disciplined in their roles. They've all bought into the system.
Agenda with a singular objective about what it is that they need to do to be able to win this.
They've bought into their system.
Yep.
This is our identity. We ain't got to be the highest jumping. I might not dunk the ball ever.
We can't beat y'all like that.
The crowd might not cheer never, but we gonna beat the brakes off your ass.
The hell out of a screen.
Setting screens.
We could shoot this shit out this ball.
Man, I went to go see. So we all know my son plays high school basketball. So we was looking at a lot of high school basketball for his 8th grade year. We go to the Mount Carmel tournament. There's one team there, and I can't remember the name of the team, but some Saint somebody, right? All of the top tier CPS schools are playing there. This team had one guy who could score. Everybody else's job on that floor was to set fucking picks and pass the ball. They beat the shit out of every one of those high flying, high jumping, quick running CPS schools.
Absolutely.
Because they bought into the system.
Absolutely.
There's an identity there. I got the ball, but I know I ain't the fucking shooter.
Right.
Fine.
The shooter.
Lil Tommy. Because he's the shooter.
He's the shooter.
You understand what I'm saying? We don't have that. No. So what do we get? We get T.I. being a civil rights leader. We get Jay-Z being a motherfucking voice of the people.
He's
you
also the
understand
shooter.
what I'm saying? Right. We get Kamala, don't got to say shit about the people, but she's an AKA.
She's the coach.
So it fucking fits.
Right.
Anybody can lead the team when the team don't have an identity. Right? And we fall behind anything that subsequently looks like a possibility of notoriety or victory. Right? We're going to ride this wave, even if this wave ain't specifically for us.
Right.
That shit is it bothers me so bad when we start talking about, and this is another thing back to the Barack shit, right? So yeah, I'm in the streets with the Barack shit. I'm happy. I got new information. We got to change how we think about this shit. We got to reassess this shit, right?
Period.
But here's the new move. They bring in Kamala under the same Barack Obama Act, right? But check the game. The game is, again, is shifting. It's changing, right? So when we all voted for Barack, it was based on a racial identity. This isn't about racial identity. Now this is about gender identity. It's about gender identity, right? So us as men, we come back and say, hey, man, let's just think about this shit. You know what I mean? Here's a woman who was born in, whenever she was born, the 50s probably, late 50s, early 60s.
Probably early
right?
60s.
To an Indian mother, Jamaican father. Right? Now let's think about black people's existence in the 1960s in America. 1950s, 1960s in America. They still had nigga don't drink from this water fountain hanging in your face. Understand? This little girl has stamps on her goddamn passport. Most black people couldn't leave 4 blocks from their fucking house.
Right.
This motherfucker has stamps on her passport. That in itself says she's living a different reality.
Sure.
Right? Her experience is different.
Sure.
Same as Barack's. His experience was Hawaii, Kansas. Black people ain't there.
He came to Chicago to get his blackness. She went to Howard for hers.
Absolutely. Right? So you get that shit, though. Again, the construct, but it's further and further breaking us down. So Barack goes in, it's a racial identity. It's the entirety of the group.
Sure.
She goes in, it's a gender identity. Now, not only is the group segmented, we can't even address it in a group manner. So because we don't have this identity, because we haven't defined our team, now it just look like all the dudes is fucking our shit up. Here we are back at square one. It's more infighting. It's more infighting.
Yeah.
And the how becomes more and more elusive. Right? The what is, in my mind, the what is a simple one. We need an identity. Right?
Cool.
And the how, though, I don't have that answer.
I don't either, because the the alternative is too enticing for people, right? This idea of chasing this illusional pot of gold at the end of this rainbow is too enticing, and people get stuck on it and they chase it with every fiber of their being, regardless of the reality of whether or not you can actually get there, right? And I think that as long as that is the case, trying to get people to view this thing differently that don't already view it that way, I certainly haven't figured out how to do that. I certainly have not figured out how to do that, because even if you go and say, okay, listen, this is what we need to do, people will say like, what a bag at? Like, listen to me. I'm telling you, like that's not the most important thing. It's a part of the equation. We live in America. I get it. You need some bread. You got to be able to feed yourself. You got to be able to have shelter. I understand that piece, but it can't be the singular motivating factor for why you get out of the bed in the morning.
But even that, there's nuance attached to where the bag at, right? Hence why we don't fully grasp identity. Hence why we don't fully understand why I say we are eternally linked to whiteness, right? So if you do the math, I think something like 96 or 98% of the wealth in America is in the hands of white folks, right? So those wealthy behaviors are defined by the people who have the wealth, right? So when you live your life in aspiration of wealth, then you essentially are living your life in aspiration of whiteness.
Period.
You understand?
Yes.
So you move, think, do as they do, right? So no, it cannot be the goal.
No.
Right? But on the back end of that, wealth grows out of community, man. Community don't grow out of wealth.
And we don't have that.
Wealth grows out of community.
Right.
So even though they own 98% of the wealth and all that other 2% is broken down by everybody else, in regard to like legalized citizenship, right? We are the next largest population. After that, it's the Hispanics. Now with just people here, it's just Hispanics is number 2, right? But you can see the difference. You can see the difference in how the Hispanic community moves versus our community, because they have a idea
connection
and a
to their
concept of
identity.
connectivity to identity. You see the progressiveness of their communities. Right? We could ride right down 50 Strip Street right now, and legitimately you could just look out the window and tell how the neighborhood shifts.
Absolutely.
And who lives where.
Absolutely.
Right? And you get to our neighborhood and it's everybody fuck but us owning shit. You get to the Hispanic communities, it's the bank, the grocery store, this shit.
All
you
of
go
it
to
is Spanish.
Chinatown, the goddamn street signs is written in Chinese in the middle of Chicago. Right? Because they have figured out, even with this small pocket, we can control some shit. We've yet to figure that shit out. You know what I mean? And we play the game. And again, right? So without us, Biden does not get elected.
Right.
I've been yelling this same shit for the last 6-7 months, right? We are the largest voting block, consistent voting block in the Democratic Party, right? We're cheering because it's like black people say the fucking day, right? That's a narrative that's being exposed over major national media right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But what did black people get for black people?
Right. If you can't win without me, that puts me in a powerful position in terms of negotiating. I have all of the leverage here. If this team can't win without me, then motherfucker, I better be the highest paid player on the team. Period. If you're gonna take Michael Jordan off the Bulls, they ain't gonna win. So he better be the highest paid player on the team.
That's what it is.
But you don't do that. You don't go to the owner and say, okay, after the season, after we win the championship, pay me.
But here
That's
we
not how
are.
it
Here
works.
we are, the best players, and we volunteering our services.
Yeah.
We don't understand that the construct is power.
In hopes that after we win the championship, then they're gonna pay me. Why the fuck would I do that?
Yeah. Because we don't have the identity. Right? Because we don't have the identity, we have this concept that, well, once we win this championship, we can start talking about money. And if we being real honest, right? This is how black people approach life. Even black entrepreneurs, right? Those who kind of jump out there with a skill set instead of the unique training of business.
Sure.
Right? We often devalue ourselves because we don't know how to ask. That is a position of weakness. It's also a positioning of fear, right? I'm an entrepreneur, been an entrepreneur for a long time. Because of that, just tribalism, how it works, I got a bunch of friends as entrepreneurs. Right? And throughout my life, we've done a lot of partnering. And I used to go into meetings, and now here's a unique difference though, right? I came from a household where my father was an entrepreneur. Right? So I might have had a little more training and understanding than those guys next to me or those women next to me. But I used to go into meetings and I could never understand why we were so fucking afraid to ask for our value. We was usually looking for a motherfucker to give us what they thought we were valued at.
Right.
And I never understood that shit.
Right.
And those kind of folks I was in partnership with, I slowly but surely started to separate myself from. Because I can't afford to move through the world with an economic position being defined by someone else.
Right.
Because I understand that, one, I have a value asset.
Right.
You don't define what the fuck I'm worth.
Right.
I do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But we're always looking for someone else to take control.
Right.
That can't happen.
No. It has to be a position that says, here's my value, here's what I want, and here's what I'm going to provide. If you're not going to give me what I want, I'm not providing this for you. Period. It's not going to happen. And so now, and then you can get into a position of talking about negotiating, and they can come back with a counter offer, and we can discuss this thing. But this idea of you setting that market for me, hell no. I didn't go pick up a newspaper and say, oh, this is what they paying for this job. Let me go apply for this job. That's not what this is, right? I'm telling you that I have something that you want. In this case, it's my vote, right? It is our collective voting block. If you want it, give us something for it. And we're going to tell you what that's worth, not you. And damn sure not after I give it to you. Because there's nothing left. There's nothing left. We don't operate like that in any other aspect of our society. In no other aspect. I don't care if you're talking about relationships or whatever, right? You not like this. You're not gonna show up, give him the pussy, and then expect we finna go out. He finna like that's not a real fucking thing. That's not a real thing. Jeez.
That's how it works.
That's not a real thing.
But just like that analogy you just used, right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't already gave me the box.
Right.
Right? I didn't really have to do no work to get the box.
No, it was easy box.
Easy box, right?
Pop and pill.
Now you can't get mad that we not dating.
Pop and pill. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm writing
we
that
not gonna date them. Why would I date you? I've already won.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm not giving nothing back. But Gene asked the question. Shout out to Gene. Gene says, does the identity issue begin with us referring to ourselves as black? And here's the thing with that for me, right? You get a lot of pushback from the Moorish Americans. So. You get a lot of pushback from those who say we Aboriginal Americans. You even get the pushback from the ADOS community, right? And then a lot of the backlash from the ADOS community is the acronym of ADOS, right? People don't like referring to themselves as slave. Like that mention of that word in the name creates a level of rejection. Mm-hmm. For me, man, I don't give a fuck. We could call ourselves the elves. I don't give a shit. Right. But that's kind of my point. Right. We have the power to choose. Right. Right? It don't matter what the name is. It matters what we all align with, whatever the mission is. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. McDonald's is a great brand.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But those Golden Arches didn't mean shit when they created the Golden Arches. Right. They created a mission behind it and stuck to it. And now it's become so natural that we all look at it and say, that's one of the greatest brands of all time.
The most recognizable logo or symbol
ever
in the world.
Right? But when the artist who created, or the McDonald's people was like, oh, this is, it doesn't have any relevancy. Mm-hmm. The only relevancy behind it is the mission and the drive of those with the mission.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Otherwise, that swoosh is just a check, and it don't mean nothing. But now everybody on Earth sees that swoosh; they know exactly what it is, right?
Same thing with the Rolling Stone logo. Same thing with the Wu-Tang logo.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter, right? And it is a branding conversation.
100%.
It is a marketing conversation.
100%. I think black should be the thing. Right, I think it's the easiest thing. It's simple enough, right? We don't have to debate this shit. African American, I ain't never been African, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to do none of that. We all black. Cool.
So Patah says black is not a color; it's the essence of which all colors originate from. That's true, but we are also identified as black in opposition to as white. Mm-hmm. So in a lot of ways, that black is in reference point to the definitive of what whiteness is.
Here's my team.
But that's the same thing. Whiteness is not an ethnic group.
No.
It's an ideology.
That's it.
Right? So Italians, that's an ethnic group. Mm-hmm. Irish, that's an ethnic group.
Right.
But they all identify as white. Why? Because the mission and they're all driven behind the same mission.
That's the team they play for.
It's the team they play for.
You know what I'm saying?
Right? We can't assimilate into that team. Right? Well, we haven't been able to assimilate into that team.
Yeah.
But what you're starting to recognize is that even that's starting to switch. Right? So now you get Kamala. And we're seeing this shit in our face. Right? The one drop rule is some shit the white man decided.
Yeah.
Right? The white man decided this rule.
Sure.
If you got this drop of nigga blood and you a nigga. You understand? But Kamala gets elected. And you look at all the major platforms. And they announce her. Now, we run around talking about this is the first black woman VP. Right? But every media outlet is saying
South
the first Asian, Indian, Jamaican black woman. Right? And everybody's accepting that shit. So I've seen pictures of the Indian community of women talk about, oh, look at my daughter. She looks just like you. Same thing from the black woman. Oh, look at what the fuck?
Yeah.
Black is to Patah's point. Black is the origin of all, right? You can't find nobody in the black diaspora that don't look like nobody of some other race.
Right.
Because we created all that shit.
Right.
You're going to always find that.
Right.
Right? So it's easy to attach yourself to, for that matter, we could say Joe Biden's the first black president.
Right.
Because they all come from Africa.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That shit is insanity. That's the value of rooting ourselves in an identity. We ain't figured that shit out.
Do we have a shared experience? Are we on the same team? If that's not the case, which clearly it isn't, you defined that earlier based off her experience even as a child. If we don't have a shared experience, then this idea of you representing me somewhere is bullshit. Especially if I came to you asking you beforehand, what are you gonna do for me if we put you there? And you was like, nothing. Right? Which we literally asked her.
So, quick question. Tiger Woods.
What about him?
Tiger Woods kicking ass on the golf course,
100%.
right? Before Tiger Woods really started opening his mouth, he kicking ass. Black people loved him. Nike grabbed him. He making all kind of money off black golfers, off black people, period.
Going crazy.
They started talking to Tiger. He said, hey, man, I ain't black. Fuck that shit. I'm Caliber Asian.
Yeah.
What did black people do?
Kept buying the shit. Kept rocking with
No,
him.
black people showing that motherfucker. Fuck, dude.
Not for real.
Okay.
Not for real. Motherfuckers been still rock with Tiger Woods. Motherfuckers still out there on the golf course. He the only reason anybody tunes into any of the PGA shit.
Caliber Asian was a motherfucking joke.
Yeah.
It was a joke. Why did we not accept it then, but we accept it now?
Power construct. Somebody else has something in the game. You seen these T-shirts that say
Gender
black women?
construct? I don't know.
You seen these T-shirts that say black women matter?
But I'm sure they exist.
Oh, I seen it. And when I saw it, I was like, that's strange. It met my eye kind of weird, right? And certainly not to say that black women don't matter. But if we're talking about this Black Lives Matter thing, then to then say black women matter, then to say what about black men?
You don't matter.
We got to take a break. When we come back, let's have a conversation about what steps that we could possibly take to get some leverage on the back. Well, to get something on the back end now that we don't have any leverage. I don't know that that's possible, but we still need to come up with some game plan for how we could possibly get something out of this administration, even though they no longer have to. This is I Said What I Said. Tucson, Warner, Herb Howard here with you at 3 o'clock. We'll be right back.
Whatever happened to you falling in that grocery store?
Your guess is as good as mine. My auntie said she knew someone. I gave her all the information, but that was 3 weeks ago and I still haven't heard anything.
You still got time to talk to the lawyers at the CLN.
The CLN? What's that?
It's the Chicago Legal Network, a group of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of law, especially the laws most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. Plus, all the lawyers at the CLN all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community.
Sounds like I definitely need to contact them.
Say less. I can text you everything you need to know. So if you're ever injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information, or call 773-912-3545. That's 773-912-3545. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Week events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Week members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
I was going to ask you, so growing up, did you ever have an old racist family in your neighborhood? Did you have one live next to you or one down the street? Just somebody's house that you know on the block you didn't want to go nowhere near that house. The neighbor who was directly behind us had a real problem coming outside seeing my white mother and my black father. We got us the gun line. This dude built an 8-foot fence, more like 10 foot.
They put up the Huck Finn joint.
Exactly. That shit looked like a castle. You know, my dad, he's a big guy, football player guy, my dad guy who walks over there.
Old school
and then
black.
he's like, yo, I don't appreciate these apples in my yard. He's like, motherfucker, we don't even have an apple tree. These are your apples.
Do you like apples?
Your kids are throwing apples over here. Okay, there's that little space, but there's still a fence. So they're right there looking at each other.
Tell them about the gun line, boss.
And I said something like, yeah, Dad. And that dude said, shut up, you little monkey. Leroy stuck his hand over the fence. You're gonna die, clown! Grabbed dude by the neck.
Run.
And proceeded to pull him halfway over this fence. Like, finish him. Mrs. Wheeler comes running out. Oh, Leroy, don't do that. It's not worth it. Blah, blah, blah. My dad was getting ready to kill this dude. And within 6 months, that guy moved away.
Don't cross the gun line, boss.
Right, the gun line, boss.
Chicago Famous, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
WIFTPM.
And we are back live from the beautiful What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. Herb Howard, Toussaint Warner here with you till 3 o'clock. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of the conversation. We are fully aware that you could literally be doing anything else right now. And the fact that you are choosing to be a part of this conversation with us means a whole lot to us. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be here. Shout out to the entire What's in It for the Black People Media family, man. Shout out to the Maze Jackson Show, the Book of Dawn, Muwak Hills World, On the Soil with the Bigs, Triggered with Trigger Mike, Instructor Mike Brown, Chicago Famous, Mike Love and Diz. Shout out to Go Ladies, Saturdays. Y'all check that out too. Minding My Black Business. Some big things going on over here, and we got more things in the work coming up for y'all. We are moving towards 24 hours of programming. We're excited about it. We're building that out for y'all, and it's only because y'all been continuing to support with us and rock with us, and we are more than grateful for it.
Hey, super shout out to Salim though, man. I keep going back to this Salim and Del Marie Cobb conversation. And outside of just the information, the way they interacted was so beautiful to me. Right? And in essence, to me, what it looked like was the sincerity or the purity of achieving that full level of masculinity and achieving that full level of femininity that I think oftentimes we all lack. Even in my own shit, you know, I had to address on my own shit and just looking at that, right? Because sometimes my emotions get the best of me. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not fully controlled yet. I've not fully mastered that shit yet.
Sure.
And when I get passionate about a subject, instead of just moving through like I was watching Salim move through, I get excited and hyper and shit don't go the way it's supposed to go all the time. You know what I mean? And it goes to some of the conversation. Like I had a conversation too with Lucretia over the past weekend, just in the inbox or whatever. And we was talking about what black people need to do and how this could, how and what black people need to do. Right? And she asked a specific question like, what about black leadership? And I said that something about like, we got to get rid of those who are at the forefront and start bringing people who are called to be those leaders to the table. And I said, but the reason they don't usually move to that table is because of fear, right? Most times the best leaders are those who shun leadership. You know what I mean? And it's like they have to move through whatever that fear is to get to that space and place. But because of the way our energy works, we don't really allow room for leaders to develop into leaders. We don't allow room to embrace their flaws and welcome to the table. So what we really admire is Donald Trump's. We really admire the arrogance and gumption of a motherfucker who really ain't supposed to be in the position they in the first place. Because we've not fully we've not fully mastered ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that shit looks like courage, and it's not. Courage is usually quiet. Confidence is usually quiet. But the motherfuckers who be the loudest in the room in whatever capacity is usually the motherfuckers we start to jump behind.
An empty wagon makes a lot of noise, one of my football coaches used to say.
It's real shit. It's real shit. We got to face them fears, but we also, it's part of the culture, right? The loudest motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're usually not equipped to lead.
No.
You know?
But they're equipped to make a lot of noise. And noise grabs people's attention, right? It gets people's attention because everybody wants to know what the hell is going on over there? What's all that noise about, right? And then you get sucked into it, and the next thing you know, T.I. is leading the movement, or Charlamagne is leading the movement.
And even, you know, not even going to them, even just to myself, right? Part of leadership is being under control. So regardless of the situation, I should let none of that shit take me out of my element. You know what I mean? And that's real shit. And I just watched the beauty and how they, you know, volleyed the ball back and forth. I thought that shit was beautiful. It was very, in essence, it was like that James Baldwin, Nikki Giovanni conversation. And I go back to that shit all the time too. And it really ain't about what they talking about. It's just about how they're talking. You know what I mean? I think that shit is beautiful.
Standing in their proper polarity, right? And even as an openly gay man, like that is a man's man. Like he is a man standing on his shit. And like, and Nikki Giovanni's the same way. Like she is a woman standing on her shit.
There's some purity there.
It's purity there, and it's coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of knowledge and information, and I got nothing but love and respect for that. Like the way they handled that conversation, and they didn't agree on every point, and they ain't about agreeing on every point. We got to talk through this thing, coming from a place of love and understanding and information and empathy, and figure out what's the best way for us to move forward. That's really
in the world that doesn't value none of that shit. That's a skill set.
That is a skill set because nobody values empathy. Nobody values compassion.
We don't value love either. We talk that shit, but we don't value it at all.
No. We don't, right? If we did, that would be how we move, right? That would be what motivates us to do the things that we do, right? It wouldn't be it wouldn't be shit else, right? Nothing could supersede love, right? If money wouldn't come above that. All those other things could be a part of the equation. They could be things that you pursue, but they would not supersede what love tells you to do. And unfortunately, that is not at the top of the thing, right? That is not at the top of what motivates us to do anything. Whether we're talking about how we relate to our partners, how we relate to our community, how we relate to ourselves, right?
It's real.
It's not, love is not at the top of that thing. And until we can get love at the top of it, I really don't think there is a path to victory for us. I really don't.
But it's also part of the identity conversation, though, right? Because the very nature of the American construct is transaction.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And transaction doesn't leave room for those things.
It does not.
Right?
It does not.
But again, that very nature, hence why we are who we are too, because we are the most American of all people. You know what I mean? In a real way. So we've been robbed of our culture. We've been robbed of our language. We've been robbed of that tribal connection. You know what I mean? So in essence, we have become American. Sure. Right? But what does that mean? Right? We can define that for ourselves is what I'm saying. That's the whole purpose of creating an identity. And once we define that for ourselves, that leads us back to the conversation of team. What's the mission? What's the vision? How do we stay on mission and vision to reach goal?
Yeah.
That's it.
And that was the point I was making about the Black Women Matter t-shirt, right? Not that they don't, but it's off mission, right? If we're talking about a collective, Black Lives Matter, Black people as a collective. And anytime we start to divide that, Black gays matter, Black women matter, Black men matter, right? If I saw the Black Men Matter t-shirt, I would say the same thing. That's bullshit, right? It's about the collective. It ain't about one group or like it's starting to divide that group up is counterproductive to what we need to be doing. It's about the collective. And anything other than that is off script in my opinion. And I don't know why that any one segment of our collective would want to go off script to raise awareness or bring attention to or elevate themselves above the collective. That is not serving us. That is not serving us. Either we all going or we ain't going.
But it serves the conversation of power. Not collective power, but personal power.
It does.
Right? So, you know, not to get into these fucking gender wars because I'm so tired of that shit. But at the end of the day, though, the breakdown is very simple, right? The Black woman is more accepted into the fold of the white supremacist narrative, right? The Black homosexual is more accepted into the fold of the white supremacist narrative, right? The Black child is more acceptable to the fold of the white supremacist narrative, right? The only one in that construct that lacks humanity is black men, right? And that goes back to that Amos Wilson School of Philosophy, right? In order to fully be a realized man, you got to take this shit over. One of the things Celine was talking about a minute ago was that the very nature of this paradigm in which we experience is creating an effeminate man because we don't need a larger workforce.
Right.
And that's not necessarily just based in blackness, that's based in the wholeness of the society that we've inherited, right? As we move into this AI world, we don't need workers, right? And if you don't need workers, then you don't essentially need men in a lot of ways, right? Not the traditional understanding of what a man is, right? Because you don't need the kind of labor workforce. You don't need laborers, right? So what you do is feminize men, and what you get out of that, you get women who don't want to deal with them motherfuckers, so you don't produce babies. You get homosexuals, they don't produce children. You get all the shit that doesn't produce more populations, right? But at the end of the day, if the American society has a code, then our community, because we are a bottom caste, is dying of cancer. And you got to decide what you're going to accept. You got to decide what you want to accept. And so far, we've been cheering for cancer to metastasize.
And that's not how it works.
It's not how it works.
That's not how it works at all. Lucretia asks, her, if I was to say that black incarcerated lives matter, would you be upset? It's not upset, right? It's off script. And black lives matter. Incarcerated, black babies matter, black gay people matter. All of it matters. But when you start to divide that thing up, there's a problem here. Again, if we're on the same team, we are on a team. It would be like for me to say Chicago Bulls point guards matter. Chicago Bulls power forwards matter. No, the whole team, everybody. And if we can get everybody winning, then everybody will win. If we can strengthen the entire team, the collective, that is going to impact everybody. There won't be so many incarcerated black people. So yes, they matter.
Using that same analogy of the Chicago Bulls, right? Why would you even put forth the script to say the Chicago Bulls matter if you're a Bulls fan? Because they would already matter to you, right? So it would, for me, it would be more like Chicago Bulls going to win the championship. Mission, vision. Who are we trying to matter to? If we already have a team, we don't have to question whether or not we matter because we've all bought into the mission and vision. Now let's look past the we matter shit,
right?
Because we matter to us,
right?
Let's look toward goal,
right?
Right? When I hear that Black Lives Matter shit, to me, it screams an old for white acceptance. I don't get who the fuck are we asking to matter to? You already matter to me, right? Because I'm of the ilk that we are on the same team. You matter.
You are like that, right? And by and large, most of the people that are here with us right now are like that, right? But I do think that there's a necessity to kind of push this thing not only into for white acceptance, but to our own people. Like, yo, we fucking matter over here, right? I think that campaign is necessary. But when you start to split that thing up, there's a problem there. Like, it can't be split up. We matter. This is us. We is we, and we matter.
I think it's nuances in the way we communicate, though, bro. And that's why I said what I just said. Right? It also leads into the earlier shit, the hands up, don't shoot. All of those are odes to weakness in my mind. All of them are odes to weakness. And we have to understand that imaging and messaging dictates behavior.
Sure.
So you get the Black Lives Matter campaign and you get the sisters who run the campaign and you start to look behind the veil of the campaign and you realize that really black men are part of that conversation. And again, not to get into gender wars because that's not what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm talking about how imaging and messaging dictates behavior, right? So at the helm of Black Lives Matter is two black women. At the helm of the political conversation is a black woman. All of that shit is great, but when you start to think about it, the breakdown, when you start to think about this Black Lives Matter umbrella conversation, and the ease of excluding black men while leveraging that whole campaign off black male death, right? The VP conversation where if you question her identity as a man, the shit shapeshifts, right? That's because we've not figured out mission, goal.
Right.
We're still looking for acceptance by someone fucking else. We wouldn't have these conversations if we've bought into the identity of whom we are.
But we haven't.
But we are we still ain't responding to us. We're still responding in reference to whiteness.
Sure.
We don't get fuck them.
Right.
They don't matter. Right? The Bulls don't go to training camp thinking about the Lakers if they ain't figured out what the fucking mission and goal is of the Bulls.
Right.
You can't go to war with nobody if you've not figured out who the fuck we are.
And what are we trying to do?
And what are we trying to do? right? It's our first goal to win the Eastern Conference Championship.
Right.
It's our first goal to make it to the playoffs. It's
Right.
our first goal to be 500. It's our first goal to figure out who the fuck our point guard is.
How are we going to play? Right? Are we going to be a shooting team? Are we going to be a up and down team?
Tempo
You know
defense.
I'm
What are we doing?
What's our identity as a team? Right? And that is a problem that we have not solved yet. And if we don't solve it, there's nothing else that we can then stack on top of that. That has to be agenda line item number one. Who the fuck are we? We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll try and figure that out. This is I Say What I Said. Herb and 2 here with you at 3 o'clock. We'll be right back.
Chicago Legal Network is the collaboration of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of the law most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. The CLN lawyers all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation. So if you were injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information or call 773-912-3545. 773-912-3545.
Trigger with instructor Mike on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Why? Why? Because someone told a great guy no.
No! God, please, no! No!
And he told that no, and he said, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and turn that no into next opportunity. That's the latest book I just released. What I tell myself about no, because children who do not understand the power of rejection and the propulsion that occurs inside it becomes adults who can't take rejection. And your next opportunity could be right around the corner if you just understand how to use that no. And that's why we exist at What's in It for the Black People Media Network, because someone took a no and said, I'm going to create next opportunity. You're not silencing the voice, because that's what's in it for the black people is the truth. Not always that you want to hear. It's the shit that needs to be said, because our ancestors fought and died to give us the right of access. And who the fuck are you to tell me no? Only on What's in It for the Black People Media Network.
Chicago famous with Mike Love and Diz. The Destin legend himself, Leon Rogers.
Yeah.
What's going on, Playboy?
Man, listen, honored to be here with radio legends, man. Two brothers I looked up for and patterned my success.
You walked away from your day job
said, what?
and you went straight in the
Man, brother, first time somebody called me to do the gig, they was like, hey, I got my grandmama's 85-year-old birthday party. She's turning 85. She has a brain tumor. I mean, now she's not going to be able to hear because she's in a coma, but she'll be laying in the room, and we just want the good vibes. Well, what is it? $75. We need you to do an hour. I'm there because of the passion of wanting to do the comedy. So I quit. But when you quit that job, and the job I had was decent. My father, every young black man should have a dad or a father figure in his life. Yes. When I say he went off on me. My son works. When I told him I quit to do comedy, my mom, mamas is always like, well, that's good, baby. You spread your wings. Realizing what God wants you to do.
Right.
My father like, you got to be the dumbest son of a bitch in the world. I can't believe you came from my ball sack. $65,000 a year. Me and your mama combined only make 80. You dumb mother. I mean, going off. Like, me and my pops actually kind of fell out.
Old school black fathers, old school mindset. They came up working. They know how hard it is.
Hands knuckles black. Hands look like he worked at the steel mill, like he was dipping them in the lava. So, he pissed. My hair's manicured. He's super cool and he know kung fu. I'm clean. I work on computers. Drives a $5,000 car and wears a $100 suit. Right. He like, I'm out here getting lung poisoning from inhaling all these steel mill fumes and touching people's mail. I'm like, look at my hands. I can't even pick up a fork and knife. Your mama got to cut my food for me. And you want to quit to do some damn comedy. He hell.
Chicago famous, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
That's why we shine wherever we go. 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 Lord, Lord. Welcome to the mind of a pothead. On my head, see a young nigga got dressed. We don't give a fuck what the cop said. I'm living a legacy. So even when I die, I am not dead. Nigga, I am not dead. Fuck with me.
I really like that intro video, bro.
Yeah, we dope, G.
I can't stand you.
Fuck with me.
Fuck with me. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Shout out to Ace Da Vinci, man. That track is his. It is called Imago Dei.
Really?
Imago.
Videographer out here who's like, if y'all need any help with y'all video, right? Like,
You see how the hater just comes in our show?
They love it so much.
Haters is everywhere, ain't they?
Like
haters.
Like the level, the effort that goes into hating on Wiz is flattering. It is absolutely flattering.
It ain't even hate at this point. It's admiration.
It is admiration.
We just accept it for what it is. You know, the fans gonna be the fans.
Maze, we'll accept you if you like Maze. It's cool. No, we won't. No, we won't. Listen, man, if you just tuned in, this is I Said What I Said. It is intellectual thuggery at its absolute finest. My name is Herb Howard. My esteemed co-host, his name is Toussaint Warner. Behind the glass doing all the hard work as she always does. Her name is Miss Sonia Escobar. Esco, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling kind of like, hey. Let's just figure it out.
You know what I'm saying? Let's figure this. Let's get this thing figured out. Yo, Esco, let me ask you a question, man. Because I was watching the Book of Dawn. If you're not hip to the Book of Dawn, you need to be tuned into it. It is every weekday from 9 to 11 a.m. It is hosted by D. Millie, Don Millhouse, and Lisa E. Every Monday they talk to the penis whisperer, and you got to whisper it like that. They talk about sex and different things. Esco, you was in there talking about, you know, guys always trying to holler at you and this, and you always be curving dudes. You never, whoever shoot they shot at you, you always reject it. But then you be like, man, I'm trying to find a man. No, you're not.
That's a lie.
Who don't you be curving? Right.
It's slim pickings.
You got to stop curving everybody. Let's go.
I want to meet real people.
Hmm?
I want to meet real people, not just in my DM, but COVID. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I was talking about is men that have been talking to themselves for years.
Yeah, in your DM, steady sending messages.
Like after a
I
couple
don't understand
months,
that.
you should move on.
If I'm not even sending you 2 text messages, period. I don't care. If I sent you one and you didn't respond, we'll never talk. Like it is what it is. But anyway, man, shout out to Esco. She is the absolute best at what she does. We appreciate you, love. 2, we've gotten off into this conversation, and I want to get to a space where we can try and figure out, you know, how do we still find a way to get something out of this particular administration, even though, in my estimation, we no longer have any leverage in this negotiation? Is there a way forward where we can still get something out of this administration? How do we hold them accountable? How do we demand that we get something from this after we've already given them what they wanted from us?
First of all, I don't think I don't think the presidency has legitimately been settled.
First of all.
Right? And I think that, again, all of this is a reactionary conversation, right? Us voting for Biden is a reaction to Trump. You know what I mean? Us having this conversation about the Biden-Kamala administration is a reaction to us not understanding blackness, right? So I also think there's a level of reactionary behavior that's going to exist in the sense that we don't fully grasp or know American history, right? And Trump still has not decided to give up. He's not conceded. You know what I mean? Even though the election was called. So that speaks to a lot of other shit. And I know this is way off the rails to a lot of people, right? But he pushed through those Supreme Court justices because in my mind, Trump has gumption and he understands power, even though he's an egomaniac, but maybe that's why he's an egomaniac. So he's in some shit in my mind. Again, this is not factual. This is just hypothetically how 2 thinks. In my mind, this motherfucker's deciding what his next move is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Whether or not I'm going to vacate this position or not. And how can I do whatever needs to be done to not vacate this position?
Yeah.
And there's other factors that we got to consider. Right? And in that consideration, we got to consider that, one, this country had its biggest voter turnout in history. Right? And that ain't just black. No. That's white folks too. You understand what I'm saying? And the very narrative on the grounds is still racial disparities.
That's it.
Right? It's not politics. It's not legislation. None of that shit matters.
No.
Right?
No.
Are you against niggas and Mexicans? I'm against niggas and Mexicans too.
Right.
That's what that's about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we act as if that animus hasn't produced some radical shit. And it has. You understand? And to assume that because he's not doing none of the normal shit.
No, he's not bowing out gracefully. He's not saying, "Listen, what would be best for the brand, for America, right? For us to have a smooth transition from one president to the next to present a unified front." That's not. He don't give a shit. Like, this is about me, and I'm going out swinging to the very, very end of this thing. And I've put some things in place to give me every fighting chance possible. I got my justices in the Supreme Court, so if it gets to that level, I got some people in there that owe me a favor or two, right? Like, and ultimately, I think they're gonna have to drag that man out the crib. I think his Proud Boy people are gonna show up to the White House lawn with their guns and try to protect him, and we'll see what comes from that thing. But I definitely don't think he's gonna be like, "All right, y'all, it's been real, we out." That doesn't seem to be
that.
Nah,
right? And it's a twofold conversation. Oh, forget what he's on, right? The American populace is up against the wall right now, though. You understand? So we often talk about how the need for reparations and why we need reparations. Because, when you look at the data, we at our wits' end. This shit is almost at extinction level events for us, right? So in order to stabilize anything in our community, we need some kind of some economic windfall to stabilize our ass. Hence, reparations becomes a large conversation, right? But we've kind of been conditioned to live on the edge. You understand? Soul food is a reaction to not having no shit to eat. We create the best shit out of the scraps, right? We make do out of what's here, right? Well, the white populace hasn't had to do that for a very long time.
No.
Right? So when you start to threaten their security,
right,
how do they respond?
Right.
And that's what's happening across the board. So Trump represents an idea to say, yeah, make America great again, because it's these other motherfuckers who are fucking up my opportunity. Right? And whether that's true or not, because it's not,
don't matter.
It don't matter.
Perception is reality.
Perception is reality, because the ignorant is the masses.
If I can push
right?
fear.
If I can push this fear, I can leverage this shit.
I'm good.
And I think that we are still in the middle of the eye of the storm, because I think there is a phase 2 to this conversation. I don't know what the fuck that is in totality, but it's going to be some different shit on the grounds, in my opinion.
Pushing that fear works. Fear is a hell of a motivator, right? In my personal opinion, fear, anger, love. 3 greatest motivators you can come up with. You put them in whatever order you particularly want, right? But fear, anger, and love, you talk about insurance commercials, all they sell you is fear. Right, your house gonna burn down. Somebody gonna break into it. Your car gonna crash. Every insurance commercial is about fear, right? And then anger is a hell of a motivator too. But it works. I know how. I can tell it works because of how black people have been treated in this country since its inception. Right? You've convinced a whole country of people, maybe even a whole planet of people, that this group of people are terribly dangerous. Right? And you see them, they can never be unarmed because they're black. They are armed. That's a weapon in and of itself. You've convinced all of these people that we're so dangerous, although we, as the minister said, black people don't have a history of killing white folks. White folks got a history of killing black folks. But you've still convinced everybody that's the other way around, that we're so dangerous. That rhetoric, that propaganda, it works. And Trump is using that game, implementing that game plan to perfection. He got these people all riled up, and he's playing on 1, their fear, 2, their anger, and it's causing them to react in ways that is very reminiscent of things that we've seen in the past. But what happens when people treat you that way is you become forced to move differently, and that is what I see as an opportunity for us. Now, if we want to go back to this space where we want to pretend like these people don't exist, like 60 million people didn't vote for this dude, like, okay, fine. Go ahead and continue to bury your head in the sand and act like this is not real. But it is, though.
And I think there's another level, too, right? I think we've kind of been lullabied by the narrative of right and wrong, right? Right and wrong.
It's not even a real thing.
It's not. It's a matter who's in power, right? History's told by the victor. You understand what I'm saying? And I think we still have this kind of narrative in our minds that, we have this kind of faith in society. It's like what Nip said on that album. He was like, you don't have faith from the ground. It's just the ground. Right. We kind of look at the American government in that way. And it's a false ideology. I always say that, before the baby boomer generation, there was no such thing as black wealth. It just didn't even fucking exist. So what did life look like for that community before that generation? Right. So, we always talking about in our just, colloquial conversations, people always harken back to history. But in our minds, our history starts at the baby boomer generation. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there was some shit before that. And that wasn't all that fucking long ago. Right? So to assume that we can move past that is insanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's insanity. And we have always been victims to who decided the fucking rule.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We've never made the rule.
No.
So I don't understand our level of comfort in the people who are making the fucking rule.
I don't understand it
Our
either.
level of trust in that.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand why we would find ourselves being so beholden to those rules, especially when the people who create them don't even follow those rules, right? They're just rules to keep.
But that's exactly how rules work. They're not for the people who create them.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Not as I do.
Right? You know what I mean? And that is what we see, right? I was having a conversation with a white dude yesterday, I think, and he was like, "What would it be like if 50 armed black men stormed the state house?" I said, "You know exactly what it would be
Look like 50 dead niggas.
That's what it would look like, right? You know exactly what that thing would look like. But because your people did it, right? It's cool, right? 50 white men walking the state house, armed to the teeth, disrupting government meetings and all that. Cool. In the middle of a pandemic, no mask on, sitting shoulder to shoulder. Cool. They're going to go home safely to their families after this. Black man, forget to put his turn signal on, he might not make it home.
The rules don't apply.
It's different.
It's the conversation. It's a Trayvon conversation. Why was he wearing a hoodie?
Motherfucker, because he wanted to.
You know what I'm saying? The rules change because there are no rules for a bottom caste. You are a victim.
Right.
It just is what it is.
Right.
So this is why I always talk about it from the construct or the philosophy of power instead of equality or right or wrong. That shit don't matter.
It don't matter.
That shit don't matter.
It don't
right?
matter.
It was a whole bunch of Germans that thought Hitler was right than the motherfucker. You understand me? The Genghis Khan was right than the motherfucker to a whole lot of people.
And if I have the power, I am right.
To the French, Toussaint Louverture was a piece of shit. You understand?
Yeah.
Cuba, that conversation right now, right? The Cubans in Miami think Fidel Castro is a piece of shit.
Right.
But the Cubans in Cuba think he's fucking Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right or wrong ain't relevant.
Nuance.
It's a matter of power. Right? It's a matter of power, period.
If I got the power, then what I'm doing is right.
And we give over our power because we don't even identify us as even having any.
No.
Hence, going back to Black Lives Matter. To who? Because if you really believe that, you wouldn't have to ask for it to matter. We give it over.
Right.
We still want to be comfortably oppressed.
Yeah.
We want to be children in the houses of our parents. It's time to grow the fuck up. You might not have the comforts of that house that your parents have, but you got the freedom to make your own decisions, and that shit feels good. But we afraid to face that fear. It's just like any other fucking fear, right? Until you face it, you become imprisoned by it.
Period.
It is what it is.
Period. It's paralyzing.
It's paralyzing. Period.
You don't face that thing, you're not gonna move, right? You're gonna sit there, you're gonna be stuck in cement. And you act like you're figuring this thing out, right? This paralysis by analysis thing, and it's not like, no, you're just scared to move.
Scared to move.
You're just scared to move, right? Because again, once you identify your team, right? If we're all on the same team, it ain't no wrong move, right? If we're all on the same team, we all move at the same time in the same direction, it ain't no wrong move.
Man, it's funny, man. I was having a conversation with my old lady this weekend, and she was like, when the pandemic hit, I did certain things, right? I got a lot more ammunition, got a couple more guns. I just got shit, right? Same shit around some of the conversations I was having up with her way before this kind of election cycle happened. And she was like, man, I don't hear you talk about none of that shit no more. And I was like, because I'm prepared now. I don't give a fuck how it plays out no more. It's going to be what it's going to be.
It's going to go how it's going to go.
It's I'm not going to worry about this shit. It's going to be what it's going to be.
Worry about it for what?
Worry about it for what?
You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be what it's going to be. I took the necessary steps that I thought I could take to secure whatever my little plot of the world is. How the chips fall from there, it's going to be what the fuck it's going to be.
Worrying about it ain't going to solve it, right?
But that's how prominent that fear is. She's confused why I ain't afraid. Because I don't live in fear, G.
Yeah.
So when I come on any conversation and I say I'm God, I'm not playing. I create the outcome. Period. Right? I always have the choice to create the outcome. But I believe that in my soul. We don't believe that shit. Right? We believe we are less than.
Right.
Hence, we're always asking for approval. We're always asking for acceptance. Right? It's the difference between demand and command. We always demanding attention. We always demanding respect because we don't command it.
Right. Right.
And there's a fucking difference.
Yeah, you can command it when you walk in a room. You command it with your presence. You command it with how you move.
There's a
You
difference.
command it with your demeanor that says, I don't give a fuck what you're doing over there. Right? I'm not concerned about whatever constructs you've already organized and arranged. I'm going to operate outside of those if I see fit. Right?
Don't make me no
This
difference.
outlaw
What the fuck
shit.
you do. Outlaw shit. Right.
Fuck what you talking about. Oh, this is how it's supposed to go. No, the fuck it ain't. Says who?
Says who?
Says who? What the fuck make you think that God created me
To
in
follow
his image
you.
to follow the shit that you done came up with?
What kind of God is you if you followed another God?
You know what I'm saying? Like that don't like.
Can you be a God and follow
what makes
another
you think
God?
that's what God created this shit for? Like that doesn't make sense to me, right? Like you got free will to live how you want. This idea that everybody is supposed to do the exact same thing blows my mind. We don't do that in any other way. We don't all dress the same. We don't all eat the same food. We don't all walk the same. We don't all talk the same. But we supposed to plot the same path forward every single. That is crazy to me.
But we do it though.
Oh, we do it. 100% we do it.
We all fall in line.
School, high school, college, job, 40 years, retire, die.
Yeah.
Pay
you
some bills.
You don't even get to retire no more. You just died out.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But another conversation Celine was having with, I can't remember the brother's name, but he was like, the whole goal of this journey is to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what does happy look like?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Looks different.
Can happiness grow up out of subservience?
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't, for me, no.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For me, no.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But we've attached so much of our happiness, or the idea of happiness, going back to the American construct, just to material gain.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And we don't have very much material gain.
Mm-hmm.
So even if that is your qualifier for happy, how happy can you be? Now, I think that's a false qualifier because if it's attached to material gain, there's new material every fucking day and you never reach the goal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You never. It's not a possibility to reach the goal.
No, numbers are infinite.
Right? So it's an internal measure instead of an external measure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But even if you're judging by the external measure, you can't get there. Hence why we wrap ourselves into fashion or even trinkets on cars because they're easily obtainable. You know what I mean? The same guys that got Bentleys and Gucci shirts and shit in the neighborhood, you look at their cribs, they living in apartments because they can't obtain that extra level because you start to see the disparities in wealth then.
Right.
Even when you think you get it,
Right.
you're not really
Right.
getting it. You can't make that transition.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And you see the social constructs and the racial constructs pop up when Chase invests $800 million in 6 years in the Lincoln Park and $1 million in 6 years in the same time period in the Chatham.
Nah, I think it was like 8 in Chatham or 12 in Chatham, but it was something like 100 or something in Lincoln Park or something. The
I
numbers
thought it was like 800 million in Lincoln Park, and then literally
okay,
like
800. Yeah, it was a very skewed number. It was
no,
like
it wasn't.
12
It was
to
like
800.
800 million in Lincoln Park, and then like maybe it was like 12 in like Chatham.
Yeah,
Crazy.
It was ridiculous.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Sean asked if we travel internationally. I don't know what that's attached to, but absolutely.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know, again, man, we just entering into a new paradigm, right? We got, and part of that new paradigm is that they're leveraging, and when I say they, the power construct is leveraging gender as a way to further disconnect our community in our access toward power. Right, and I'm seeing it play out, and it's being very effective, and it's playing out in an interesting way because it's playing out with younger people, and it's playing out gender specific in a way that I don't know. I just haven't figured out the conversation to mend or restore that bond, or even if it is, I don't even know if the word is restore. It might be to create that bond, you know, because in essence, our survival is going to be uniquely linked to our ability to connect with one another. You know what I mean? Mind, body, spirit, and soul. It is what it is. Like we are at that level, right? And I know that seems like a wild statement to make. But if you're just looking at the data, man, I think 2036 they said we was gonna be at a zero net worth. That was before COVID. Right? And I don't know how we don't see it. You know, you don't see the new homeless populations popping up around your house. Y'all don't see that? You understand what I'm saying? Like, there are more black men in jail than there are women. There are more black men in jail in America than there are women in jail across the planet. And we are 12% of this population. Like, we don't recognize you don't see how many black men are missing from your communities. You don't see how women are now being pushed into that same system.
Sure.
You don't see that.
Sure.
You don't see the behaviors of our young men. You didn't see King Von get killed in front of a nightclub where 6 little brothers had a fist fight and all 6 of them had pistols. You don't see the mentality changing. You don't see that. You don't see that your children can't go outside to the park. You don't see that. All wrapped, engulfed into your fear. All fear created by problems that are created by this same fucking system. But we keep adjusting our fear instead of addressing the goddamn system.
Yeah. And so, never mind the system. All those black men are in jail because they're terrible decision makers. They're awful people. They're violent. They're more susceptible to drug abuse and those types of things. The women prison population continues to rise because black women, poor decision makers. They're violent. They're dealing in drugs. They're making terrible decisions. It's not the system, right? It's y'all. And to believe that somehow black people are inherently more susceptible to these things, it's complete bullshit. Gotta take a break. When we come back, we'll dig deeper into that particular conversation. I will try and find my tongue. My name is Herb Howard. His name is Tucson Warner. We'll be right back.
WIFTVPM.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
Jackson. If you could make up a social media holiday, what would it be?
Randy said National Don't Let No One Put You Down Day.
No one. What you gonna do? So when they say something crazy, you slap them?
Be like me, said. Randy said a Jukathon Day.
Man, we're about 60 years old. I be done had a heart.
You gotta get your heart rate up.
Okay, not that far.
Yeah. All right, Mario said my favorite one. My friends and I do what we call National Call Off from Work Day.
As a business owner, I don't.
You don't like that, yeah?
I don't like that.
Because I'm the boss of this family.
We got Marcus Garvey Day from Remy too.
Oh, Marcus Garvey Day. All right, what will we do on Marcus Garvey Day?
Call off from work.
I'm going to need you to go ahead and come in tomorrow. That would be great. Okay?
Yeah, right. Every black holiday has something to do with calling off from work.
You're cool. I'm out.
How about National Join a Positive Black Organization Day? Because I don't want to be recruited. I don't want to be recruited and the brothers be like, thank you. Thank you. How about National Tell White People the Truth Day? Tell them how you really feel.
You can't handle the truth.
Why don't we call that National Black People Get Locked Up Day?
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Hello.
The most dangerous show in the morning.
Are back live from the beautiful What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. Herb Howard, Tucson Warner here with you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of the conversation. Make sure you stick around. Coming up next is Chicago famous Mike Love and Diaz here with you every weekday, 3 to 6 p.m. I want to give another shout out to the bigs, man. Shout out to Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin. I got the pleasure of working with those brothers every Sunday.
Great job.
Yeah, we got the kickoff kickback starting at 10 a.m. And this Sunday is going to be the first Sunday we're going to take it to 2 hours. We lead you right up to kickoff. We get you ready for the slate of football games on Sunday. Talk about the Bears. Talk about fantasy. Talk about the sports lines for in terms of getting your bet set for the day. It's a real good time, and it's a kickback. So we be having our little beer and we be talking our stuff, and it's a good time, man. So y'all come hang out with me and the bigs, man. Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin every Sunday at 10 a.m. for the kickoff kickback.
I know this is off topic, but the Bears ain't gonna win another game this year, huh?
The Bears are trash, bro. That offense is atrocious. They are literally wasting a generational defense. That defense ain't good. That defense is great. They held Derrick Henry, who is an absolute Mack truck, to like 67 yards on 20 carries yesterday. That defense is phenomenal, and if they had just a decent offense, just an offense that could hold the ball for 5 or 6 minutes at a time, not go 3 and out and keep that defense on the field all game. Just an offense that could put some points on the board when it actually matters. The Bears good for scoring some garbage time touchdowns to make the score like it wasn't as bad as it was. They got their ass beat yesterday, right? They ended up losing by 7. They got their ass blew the fuck out.
So I ain't been paying attention like that.
Yeah.
But there's a great analogy there, even to the conversation we've been having all day. And no matter how great the defense is, you still got to put points on the board. You have to have an offensive mind as well.
You must.
So it can't all be reactionary. And that's kind of our problem. It's all reactionary. It's all a defensive stance, right? Even defensive fighters got to throw a fucking punch. You know what I mean? So I also heard, I saw on the news that they played a O-line that they had only been working with for a week or some shit like that.
Yeah, the offensive line for the Bears have been ravaged by injuries and COVID, so they had 3 or 4 new starters out there yesterday. It was atrocious. They can't move the ball. They can't reset the line of scrimmage. They can't get any push. They can't run the ball. It's awful. But to your point, when you talk about offense, right, in football or really basketball too, you have to have an identity, right? To be effective offensively, you have to have an identity. To be effective defensively, you just got to be everybody on the same page. Have some badass dudes that like to play physical football, right? There's no real identity. Say, oh, we do this, do that. Offensively, you have to have an identity. Do you run the ball? Do you throw the ball? Do you spread people out? Do you pack it in tight? What is your offensive identity? The Bears do not have an offensive identity. There's nothing that they can hang their head on and says, this is who we are, this is what we do. And as black people, we also have not found that identity to say, this is what we are, this is what we do. If nothing else, we do this. Right? We haven't found that identity that would then allow us to lean on that thing if nothing else is going well. Right? Usually in Chicago, when the Bears have been good, which has been rare in my lifetime, their offensive identity has been a strong running game. They've been able to run the ball, which you need to be able to do in Chicago when the weather turns cold into December and into January. Right? You have to be able to run the ball. It's not easy to throw the ball right on Lake Michigan when it gets cold and that wind starts swirling. You got to be able to run the ball, and the Bears don't even have that type of identity. And if they don't find it, they may not win another game. I think they will, but the way that offense looks, it's bad. It's atrocious, and they are wasting a huge opportunity because that defense is Super Bowl ready, but that offense ain't state championship ready.
Very similar to how I saw this election. We wasted a huge opportunity. You know what I mean? Because in this new paradigm where you see how many people came out to vote, and it's not really a new paradigm; it's an old paradigm, right? But it's just a public conversation at this point. Right? So now you got all this kind of chaotic movement between, it's kind of this chaotic infighting, which gives us, as a small populace, but a small dedicated voting block, it gives us it gives us room to make a move, just like a chessboard. Okay, chaos is a ladder. The shit's been opened up for us to play our piece. Let's play our fucking piece. You know what I mean? But we set aside our piece to empower other people. You know what I mean? And that's been our trajectory for a very long time. You know what I mean? So in that vein, I think as, you know, my generation, your generation, and the generations below, we've got to decide who and what we want to be. You know, what positions are we going to play? What's acceptable, what's not acceptable? You know what I mean? The wealth conversation is going to be played out very soon because you're going to start to see the disparities getting wider and wider, the gaps getting wider and wider. We talk about the Chris Rock joke all the time. Here I am, the greatest comedian in the world, quite possibly, and the dentist lives next door to me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's going to start showing up on your front door now. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to be able to live on the low end.
Right.
You're not going to be able to live in Roseland.
No.
You're not going to be there. It's going to be like South Africa.
Right.
Right. Your ass is going to be secluded to the shanty towns around the city. You know what I mean? You're not going to have access to this shit anymore because wealth calcification is real and it's happening in our face. Them homeless embankments ain't by fucking happenstance.
Right.
The numbers are changing.
Right.
Except for the numbers in your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So until we start to recognize that, I don't know what level of failure we need to see. I don't.
I think one of the greatest indicators of the health of a society or a particular group of people within a society is the suicide rate, right? And we continue to see that go up, not across America, but especially in the black community, right? Especially you're starting to see more black people commit suicide than you ever have before, and that is an indicator of the overall health of the collective, right? Rashawn asked earlier, about us traveling internationally, and he said, I'm trying to figure out if y'all have seen other cultures do this thing well in your international travels. And lots of other countries and cultures do this thing well, but it's because they're tied into their collective identity. They know exactly who they are, they know exactly what they want, and they do not consume themselves with chasing capital every waking minute of their lives. They consume themselves with strengthening the collective, and they're happy, right? So you go into these primitive, you call them primitive, that's fine, right? That's what they were put here for, right? They found their purpose. They got their land. They cultivate it. They feed themselves. They love each other. They got their culture. They speak their language. And they're not really concerned with nobody else coming in here and fucking with what we got going on. But they also are happy. They're not killing each other. They're not killing themselves. You know what I'm saying? So you can go like, these motherfuckers walking around, they naked and they swinging on trees and they got shit hanging out their mouth. And that's fine. They happy than the motherfucker, right? They love each other. And they work together. They work as a collective to ensure the overall good of the whole.
But we don't even have to go to another country to see the benefits of community collectivism.
True.
Right? So, again, I made mention to we could take a ride down 55th and see how the cultures change. Right? So, in regards to populace, in regards to population size, Hispanics are number 2 in America at this point. Right? Now, I said in regards to citizenship, we're number 2. But in regards to just sheer numbers, they're number 2. But what's that mean? That means that a large percentage of their population are working in under-the-table employment opportunities, right? So if you're working in the under-the-table employment opportunity, 9 out of 10 times your ass is being cheated.
Yeah.
Right? 9 out of 10 times you're getting shitted on. But their communities don't represent or have the same elements as ours because they have fucking community. We don't have to go. You can go down 55th Street and see the difference.
Facts.
You can see the businesses, once you pass Western, change. You can see them change. And it's for that same reason, because we have a collective identity. You can see DACA being on the goddamn national conversation stage.
Absolutely.
You can see, fuck that. You can see LGBT rights being on the national stage, right? Because there's a collective identity that says, this is what the fuck we want. Period. We don't got to go to no other countries to see this shit working.
Right.
It's working here.
Right.
It's working here.
Right.
Chinatown has Chinese street signs. Period.
They do.
If you get up into Chinatown and ride through Chinatown, what do you see? You see Asian-owned businesses. You see Asian-owned markets.
And nothing else.
Asian home ownership.
Right.
And that is it. And they're secluded and off to themselves.
There's a bank.
And they don't have to come out of that area. Right?
We good right here.
We're good right here. We've built a nation within a nation. Right? But it's based on our collective identity. Now, what you see in those same communities too, though, right? As their children grow and as they get deeper and more assimilated into American culture, they don't want that shit no more.
No. I'm trying to get out of I want to get out of Chinatown.
Everybody's trying to fold and assimilate into this American idea. Right? But we've been here the longest and have never been offered that idea. Right? So at some point we got to say, well,
fuck it.
This ain't a possibility.
This ain't us.
Let's go and clearly reject this shit.
Let's do our shit.
Let's do our shit. Let's insulate us. Right? Because now as a cast, the cast that we've been pushed into, we suffer the greatest. Man, I rode my bike last night. As I approach 67th and King Drive coming back home, red tape. I get all this shit's blocked off from 67th to 63rd.
Somebody's been killed.
As the police, what happened, man? 3 fucking shooters. I'm riding my bike, right? But I'm 44 years old. That shit is less than a mile and a half from my house. What's to assume that my son wouldn't ride his bike there too? What's to assume my son wouldn't go that way? Right? Do I have to seclude him from that part of the world?
Right.
And that's kind of what I mean.
Right.
Here I am getting an opportunity to send my son to Arizona.
Right.
It's a better opportunity in all regards, right? Better basketball opportunity, better school opportunity, and that's only better because it's a white community.
Right.
It's only better because the resources there are based in whiteness. That's it, right? But now he gets there, and I have to be clear-minded and say, we're moving into this kind of racial animus that's going to threaten him. He got to move away from his fucking people because of the racial ignorance that's going to threaten him. We don't got nowhere else to fucking run to. We got to run through.
Either we fix this shit or we perish from it.
That's it.
That's it. Like this. I don't know why we choose to try and find a comfortable way to exist within it, as opposed to changing it, right? Flipping it, building something else. Stop trying to find a comfortable way to exist within a system that is uncomfortable. Build something else. Look within and build that thing. And we also got to get to the point where we understand that everybody ain't gonna go. Everybody don't even want to go.
Which gets back to the black male conversation, right? Which gets back to the Amos Wilson conversation, right? We take the fucking power. Then we ain't asking you to get in line. This is the fucking rule now.
This happening. This was going on.
This is what it is. This is the rule now. You don't know abide by the rule, then get the fuck on.
Blood got to be shed.
I don't know what got to happen, but that's how it has to happen. That's how it has to happen.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna stand on something like that, right? And that's to anybody who opposes it, whether you look like me or not, right? Then you got to be willing to back that up some kind of way.
But it ain't just blood, though.
It's not just blood.
All of the factors of war.
It's just
we
a part of
this lifestyle like it is. It is a war, right? A flower's desire to survive is war. You got to break through the motherfucking concrete. You got to break through the soil.
Period.
That's war, right? You got to leverage force. So in the vein of what do? It's the same conversation in the 60s, right? There was energy that undergirded all that shit. It wasn't just Malcolm and Martin talking shit. It was Thurgood Marshall learning law.
Everything.
You understand? It was black surgeons learning medicine. It was all of that shit. And concurrently working in the construct of this is for my people.
Right.
This is for my people. That's why we got these kind of O's in our community says you're a credit to your race or you're an embarrassment to your race because that's how connected that shit was. We have to move as a fist. This is all of us. We've lost that, right? And we've lost that to engage deeper and deeper in these white ideas that are usually wrapped into materialism, usually wrapped into ego, usually wrapped in celebrity, usually wrapped into notoriety, usually wrapped into fame. Our shit at a lot of levels, Mike, once you get beyond like the generation of people that are younger than, I don't know, 30, that shit ain't even about wealth no more. It's all about ego and likes. It's about notoriety. You understand what I'm saying? The little sister who did the thing in Kansas City the other day when we played the video when she's in the
City Hall.
City Hall, right? Yeah. She's in the City Hall meeting. I happened to run across her Instagram page.
Okay.
Since that point in time, her whole Instagram page is about, for me, and it's just, maybe I'm off base, but it's all a cry for more attention. Since my video went viral, the Kansas City police are probably going to try to kill me. If you want to help me, send money to my XYZ cash card account.
Yeah.
Right? And I respect what the young sister did.
I do too.
I do. Right? But again, it's how we communicate in a lot of ways. I'm going to be real with you. Most of the black versions of leadership, most of the black vocal voices out here, for me, are not predicated in the purity of us winning as a people.
Right.
In a lot of ways, it's predicated in how this is just another form of celebrity.
How can I advance myself?
It's just another form of celebrity. It's like the new hustle. I watched Tamika Mallory, and not to shit on Tamika Mallory, but she was on the Nick Cannon show, and there was this whole segment about, her need to survive economically and how I'm going to do so by, leveraging this and leveraging this and leveraging this. That's cool. I get it. I understand that. But it's about both worlds colliding, right? So King had Harry Belafonte to undergird his movements.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Malcolm had the nation to undergird his movements. I get it. We still got to get there. But because those people undergirded those communities, there was a purity and sincerity in those voices.
I don't gotta take every check that come. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to.
I can't be willed or leveraged by capital.
Yeah, and listen, I got a lot of respect for Tamika Mallory. I got a lot of respect for my son, but they are self-serving in some of the shit that's happening with them. Like that it just is what it is. Now to the sister in Kansas City, I am a little concerned about her safety. Right? Like I do think that fucking police truck was following her around. Whatever the number was, she 83. It was police car number 83. Whatever number it was.
I don't know.
She said she had saw it like 3 times in that day, and I don't put it past them at all to be like, who the fuck she thinks she is to come up in our meeting and talk this shit, and it could absolutely make her a target.
It could, and I'm not denying that, but it's again. I'm not denying the plausibility of any of that activity or behavior.
Sure.
Right? But I'm questioning the sincerity of our goal. Right? Is it notoriety? Right? Is it notoriety? Is it economic security? Or is it to move the spirit of the black populace forward? Because I think those energies going to get different responses.
Not necessarily the same thing. Just like you saw with the brother in the video down in Scottsdale, right? With the Asian dude, right? Your actions weren't based on moving the needle forward for black people. It was like, yo, look at what's happening to me. I'm this dude. I'm that. Like, and it's like nah. Like, you want to address that shit? Address that shit. You know what I'm saying? And not with your camera phone. Address it. It's right here. Address it.
But outside of that, just getting to the frequency of humanity, the frequency of the human spirit. I think lies only go so far. You know what I mean? I think they work for a long time, right? I think they do, but I think
quite
after
effective.
a while, the shit just don't work no more.
Quite effective,
right? There's a purity and truth that keeps people engaged. You know what I mean? I think it keeps people moving in the spirit. I just think it does, and I don't know. Shit, there's a reason why we still reference King. There's a reason why we still reference Malcolm. No disrespect to Reverend Al, but who the fuck is talking about Reverend Al? Right? Who the fuck? Where's the next movement of that pure leadership? Where's the next movement of that clarity on where we need to go?
Right.
They can move and prompt people to move with them.
You make the point all the time that if either of them were alive today, I'm talking about Malcolm X or Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This morning, it's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids.
Oh, that punk
man, Van
Jones.
Jones.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what is this shit?
The truth matters.
But we could pull up this same clip from a year ago.
He doing the same shit.
We could pull up this same clip when he started crying when Trump was elected.
Yeah.
We could pull up this same clip from when Obama was elected.
Yeah.
Get your punk ass the fuck out of here, Joe.
That's about you. That's about you. That's not real. You know what I'm saying? But you often make that point about that if they were here today, they wouldn't be held as valuable, right? They wouldn't be like deemed to be worthy of leading the movement because by what we deem to be successful,
our frequency
they
is off.
were not.
Our frequency is off.
Right? They weren't rich, wealthy men, and so they aren't successful.
But it's twofold.
How we listen to them.
But it's twofold though, right? And this goes back to the conversation I was having with Lucretia. Right? We have to have that class of person, that class of people has to have the courage to step into the forefront. If we're going to ever change the energy, we have to be courageous enough to step in front of it. We have to be courageous enough to step in front of what's false. And we're not doing that. Right? I don't know who it was. Oh, Dave Chappelle in his goddamn opening to Saturday Night Live. He talked about how outrageous Trump is to be on TV guessing cures to coronavirus. Right? He said, I don't know, more sunshine, bleach. Right? But right next to Dave Trump when he's making these fucking statements.
It's Dr. Fauci.
Is a doctor.
Right?
Well,
it was Dr. Fauci, right.
And they just let that shit ride. That's the weakness, right? Have the courage to stand in front of shit and say, man, get your goofy ass the fuck out of here.
Right.
That ain't real.
That's bullshit. That's going to get a lot of people killed.
But that threatens your security.
Of
or
course.
That threatens your job. Or that threatens your validity.
And then I put myself above the collective.
You got to be willing to jump.
Got to make a choice.
You got to choose.
You got to make a choice.
And the gumption of Trump is chosen.
It's chosen.
I'm going to be the fucking power force.
Right.
At all costs. Right. And it plays out in every other field, right? That is why T.I. can drop a new album and T.I. can be the voice of our community in some levels. That's why Mayor Keisha is calling T.I. and Killer Mike when Atlanta goes up in riots. Right. Why the fuck you calling? Why do you got to call them?
Right.
This is the home of Martin Luther King.
It's Atlanta.
Right? This is fucking why you, Mayor Keisha? Why ain't you that voice?
Morehouse and Spelman in your backyard. Like it got to be some black leaders there. professors, students, and the like.
But it's twofold though, right? And not to, and,
It's a million fucking
and
churches
Mike,
in
and
Atlanta.
Mike has a history
I fuck
of
with Killer
being
Mike.
engaged in the movement.
Fuck with Killer Mike.
Right? I fuck with Mike too, right? But it's the same fucking thing. It's like our ego jumps out of our body. I need to be in the conversation. I need to be powerful, right? You see all these rappers, right? Not just rappers. But let's fuck that, rappers.
Rappers.
And I'm specifically speaking of our community because that's really mostly what I pay attention to, right? But COVID's over with. I mean, it's not over with, but COVID's happening and it's threatening all their money, right? So now they all got podcasts. Now they all got clothing lines.
Yeah.
And they do all the same shit.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
They do all the same shit. But what makes you engage? What are you talking about that's different than the next guy? If you put every one of them up, what makes you more engaging? You're not even invested in nothing else, but you know that by the very nature of your brand, you can sell this idea.
Yeah.
That shit is whack.
Yeah.
That shit is whack, man.
No, but it works. It's what they want to do. It's putting myself above the greater good of the collective. And if that's what you're on, that's fine. I just want everybody to say, listen, I'm not really on that fucking team, right? Stop with the bullshit. Stop acting like you're on this team and operating as though you're playing for yourself.
But I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming us for accepting that shit all the time.
I agree with you. But I'm saying we got to draw that line in the sand and say, okay, who's really on the team and who's on their individual pursuit. And if that's what you own, that's fine. Go do your shit, right? But those of us who claim to be about the collective, we gotta roll. We gotta roll regardless, right? You talk about 17 motherfuckers in the revolution, like we gotta roll, and with whatever numbers we got, that's what we gotta roll with. You talking about standing out in front of the thing? The reason that we are so hesitant to stand out in front of it is because the overwhelming majority of people are on the other side of that thing, and so it's like, I don't really want to stand out there because it's gonna make me look bad, or I don't have the courage to. Fuck it.
Nah, that's real. But it's also why Cube gets the backlash Cube is getting. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's also why.
Exactly.
Right? Regardless of his information, he's not the motherfucker that should be delivering those kind of messages.
Exactly.
He's not. Because of what the backlash can be. I'll get your rapping ass out of here. You don't know shit.
Right.
You don't know shit.
Right.
But the king meet with the president? Absolutely. Could the minister have walked in a conversation with Trump and anybody in our community shit on the minister?
No.
I wonder.
Hell no.
You would surely question well, no, maybe the minister's right.
Yeah.
Maybe the minister's right.
Yeah.
That's what the fuck I mean. And part of that is on those who are supposed to be the called too. They got to step into the courage of being called.
You must.
You got to step into the light.
You must.
Or because if you don't, the pretenders is going to take the place.
They can't wait.
Just
they already holding the spot. They already holding the spot. Either you're gonna go take it or it's gonna be gone forever. We are gone for the rest of the day. We will be back here on Wednesday at 1 p.m. What's up, bro?
Before we leave, I just want to say real quick. Fuck Van Jones.
Fuck Van Jones. His name is Tucson Warner. He said what he said. Listen, we'll be back here Wednesday at 1 p.m. Coming up next, Chicago famous Mike Love and Diz for Sonia Escobar and for Tucson Warner. My name is Herb Howard. We'll see y'all Wednesday. Until then, y'all be good to each other.
If you're
Peace.
a Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to...
Yes.